Hare Krishna. Today we're going to do something we're going to do two things instead of one. We're going to, can you untighten this? Let me just lower it just a little bit. Perfect. Just, yeah, right about this, good. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. We are going to Naranjana Swami, who is the GBC for the Ukraine. He gave a report yesterday, and I took notes. So we'll have a regular Bhagavatam class, and we'll end a little early, and I want to share some of those details with you, because it's quite moving, actually, when you think about it. I mean, we're all rugged up, you know, as they say in Australia, we've all got caps and shotters, and, oh, we're feeling the bitter cold of winter in San Diego. But what they're going through, what the devotees are going, I don't want to, I want to say the full thing rather than partial. So we'll do class first, and then we'll give that report. And I want to issue a challenge to the devotees when we talk about the Ukraine. A challenge which I am 108% confident that the devotees will rise to. I have absolutely no doubt about it. But it's something nice, something we can do practically for the Ukrainian devotees. All right, let's get everything set up here. I have new neighbors, and they have designated their apartment as Party Central. They make a ton of noise, and they go out around 10 o'clock and carouse the bars, and then they come back when the bars close at 2 o'clock and make a ton of more noise. And sometimes they don't even leave. So I'm going to have a chat with them this morning. Wish me luck. What do they say? Men in black muttering no. The Hare Krishna in saffron is going to rain on their parade. If I come with a black eye tomorrow, you'll know why. Oh, Govinda. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Jasodanandana Brajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajanaranjana Jamunitira Vanatari Jamunitira Vanatari Jayaro Madhava Kunjabihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari. Thank you. Jasodanandana Brajanaranjana Shamunati Ravunatadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Pri Bhajakacharya Siddhata Shishmata Divine Grace Abhaycharan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishya Vrinda Ki Nam Char Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Goho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Say Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Dwarka Dham Ki Navadip Dham Ki Jagannathpur Dham Ki Jamuna Maya Ki Ganga Maya Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Bhakta Devi Ki Samveda Bhakta Vinda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Say Siddhara Giridhara Ki Shri Krishna Sankirtana Juga Ki Gopremanande All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the divine lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Sudamo Bhagate Dhammaganadi Saha Kalaunasa Dashomesha Parano ko nadodita Narayana namaskritya naram chaivam narotama Devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. The Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun. It is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode with knowledge, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who've lost their vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali should get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer respects to the personality of God Narayan, the Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, the goddess of living Mother Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. Right. So we are on, assuming there's harmony in the universe, we're on text, what is it, 64? Yes. Yeah, okay, let's get to the right chapter. We can start there. 64. Okay. Tam eva toshayam asa prityanartena yavata gramya manoramai kamai prasideta yata tata tammeva toshayamasa pratyennartena yavata gramya manoramai kamai prasiddheta yata tata tammeva toshayamasa pratyennartena yavata gramya manoramai kamai prasiddheta yata tata tammeva toshayamasa pratyennartena yavata gramya manoramai kamai prasiddheta yata tata Vaishnavis, they should, you slant this so only the men can see it. It's nice if it's slanted so they can also see easily. You can see all right? Sorry to interrupt. Tammaiva tushayamasa pratyennartena yavata gramya manoramai kamai prasideta yata tata tam, her, the prostitute, eva, indeed, toshayamasa, he tried to please. Pratyena, he got from his father's hard labor. Artena, by the money. Yavata, as long as possible. Gramya, material. Manoramai, pleasing to her mind. Kamai, by presentations for sense enjoyment. Prasideta, she would be satisfied. Yata, so that. Tata, in that way. Translation. Thus, Ajamil began spending whatever money he had inherited from his father to satisfy the prostitute with various material presentations, so that she would remain pleased with him. He gave up all his Brahminical activities to satisfy the prostitute. I'll say, you say. Then Ajamil began spending whatever money he had inherited from his father to satisfy the prostitute with various material presentations, so that she would remain pleased with him. He gave up all his Brahminical activities to satisfy the prostitute. Purport. There are many instances throughout the world in which even a purified person, being attracted by a prostitute, spends all the money he has inherited. Prostitute hunting is so abominable that the desire for sex with a prostitute can fill in the blank. No. Can ruin one's character, destroy one's exalted position, and plunder all of one's money. Therefore, illicit sex is strictly prohibited. One should be satisfied with his married wife. One should be satisfied with his married wife, for even a slight deviation will create havoc. A Krishna-conscious grihastha should always remember this. He should always be satisfied with one wife and be peaceful simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Otherwise, at any moment, he may fall down from his good position, as exemplified in the case of Ajamila. Om Ganata Vrandasya Gyana Gana Salakaya Chakshushan Militan Gyana Tasmate Shri Gurave Namaha. So before diving into the particulars of the verse, I thought it might be good to have a little bit of a refresh, some of the themes here. I was thinking about it because Subha Vilas touched on this when he was giving class the other day, that you really have to see the fifth canto and this Ajamil Leela. You have to see them together, the end of the fifth canto, and because one is a cautionary tale. As Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, the vision of the hellish planets is enough to make the greatest hero like Hamlet the hair to stand on end. So it's quite, frightening. And you've almost got the Calvinistic, that who was that guy that life is brutal, beastly, and brief? Hobbes, is he the one? And it doesn't matter. He comes out of that Calvinistic tradition that, we're just destined to suffer, that this is, we're sinful, we turned against God, and you're just going to roast, and probably you're going to go to hell, but maybe you might get a drop of mercy, but even then, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's a pretty grim way of looking at things, And when you look at the fifth canto, I mean, oh my gosh. And there's so many things. What Subha Vilas said, practically you step out there's even a reaction for not using the human form of life for self-realization. Just that alone. You can be as kind-hearted as Mother Teresa. Of course, that one you could argue, but and wham, just for not using the human form of life for self-realization. So it's a pretty grim picture. And then there's all the different prayashchitas, the different ways that you can counterbalance. You can do this and can do that. And you can, sometimes, in the strict South Indian Brahmin family, you'll see them. And it's nice. I'm not criticizing. But, you got to stand here and you got to ring the bell 3 times and you got to pull your earlobes and you got to, you got to do this and that and bow down and then you got to spin twice, and it's almost like obsessive compulsive. And, maybe you'll just, like a pinball machine, ding, 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 and you boom, and you won't get a sinful reaction. But even then, how long will it last? Just like, what does it say? As long as it lasts. What is it? Yata, tata? Whatever it is, how long can you balance the whole thing? It's like you see this guy's juggling, in the circus, And, first they got a couple three balls, and then they start throwing some plates, and they brought bananas, and, But how long, even they got it all, they got to spin in one, But how long can you balance the material nature? How long can you go on? As soon as you stop, as soon as that guy's distracted. I went with my father to the circus one time, and the guy was doing all the stuff, And some beautiful girl, I guess, whatever, I don't want to paint a picture in your mind, but the trapeze girl was getting ready for her trapeze, and he looked. My father said, watch. And he looked, and then he dropped everything, So a moment's inattention, and you lose it. And even if you're expert, how long can you go? That famous thing when the man said, well, as far as I know. And Prabhupada said, that's my point. How far do you know? So as long as it lasts, that's our point. How long will it last? Govinda Das says, like the lotus, the drop of water. So it's a pretty grim picture. And even if you try to counterbalance it, it's a constant Ferris wheel, merry-go-round or Ferris wheel, so the wheel of samsara. So what to do? And the message, just as the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the same thing, that the saving grace is taking shelter of the holy name, the unlimited power and mercy of the holy name. And practically everybody, Prabhupada says that who cannot open their mouth and say Hare Krishna and take prasadam? And Prabhupada said, if you can't do that, at least you can hear. And Prabhupada said, if you can't speak and you can't hear, you can fold your hands and cry and pray to the holy name. So it's both a cautionary fright. It's meant to, well, I don't want to go too far afield. We've got time. But, if you've got a real rascal, you say, listen, if you do that, I'm going to knock you in the head. Well, I'll do it, So, if you don't shape up, you don't follow the 10 Commandments, you are going to burn forever in hell. Okay, but again, well, we'll get into it, but where's the alternative? Where's the impetus to fear cannot be sustained. You're afraid of me only as long as I'm standing there with a stick, and even then you'll forget. So that's one thing that we've got the fear of the fifth canto, but in stern Christianity, it doesn't leave us there. And okay, you've got all the different. The Jewish tradition. Every tradition has like fire covered with smoke. It has flames of truth that spark up. I'm not discounting that, but man, are they full of what is it? Is it a mitzvah? What is different things you have to do that are good acts, and you have to do so many good acts?
Yeah, mitzvah is a minimum you need in order to do a ceremony.
That's a minyan, I thought. Anyway, be that as it may, there's all kinds of rules, and you got to follow the Sabbath, and you got to, they even have there's a kosher way. If you have to turn the light on the Sabbath because that's work, you can pull it with a string. But you can't touch your finger, but you can pull it on a string. Come on, how are you going to find your way out of this place? But the essence of it all, and we'll move on to something else, but let's suppose I have 32 64ths. I can reduce that to 16 32nds. I can reduce that to 8 16ths. I can reduce that to 4 8ths. I can reduce that to 2 4ths. And I can, it's the lowest common denominator. Can I reduce it below 2 4ths? Help me out here. Yes, what can I reduce it to?
1/2.
1/2, but it can't be reduced any further. So all the samskaras, all the prayaschitas, how do I get out of, I'm going off a cliff and it doesn't look good down there. How am I getting out of it? The holy name. It is the essence, it is the apex, and it is the only solution. So that's one takeaway from this sequence from the 5th to the 6th and the end of the Jamil story. Another thing I was thinking is that Krishna does not give up. Jamil really sunk into a real pit. Imagine, he abandoned his nice wife. Did he have children? I can't remember what the storyline goes. No, before Narayan. In his previous, I don't think so. But he abandoned his old parents. Abandoned his old parents. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Bhattago, who was willing to do it. He was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His father was, Tapan Mishra was his father? Yeah, his father and mother were old Vaishnavas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent him back from Jagannath Puri. He said, you go take care of your parents, you know. I mean, that's a whole other topic. But the point is that he gave up his parents, gave up his nice, chaste wife, gave up all of his brahminical habits for a low-class person, nasty habits. So, I mean, but Krishna didn't give up. So we have that, it's both, it's caution. We should have that quiet confidence as a Vaishnava that as long as I try, Krishna will save me. Now, to the question and answer yesterday with Bhakti Maharaj gave those nice answers. You know, on one hand, yes, Krishna will save us. In New Vrindavan, I was sitting there. There's darshan. You can see the pictures. They moved Prabhupada's Vyasasan outside, and he was sitting out in beautiful summer in New Vrindavan, summer evening, a sunset, twilight. And I forget what the setup was, but Prabhupada said, I'll forgive you once. I'll forgive you twice. Then Prabhupada said, the third time I take off my shoe. So yes, Krishna. The takeaway is that ultimately Krishna will save us. You know, if we just try, whatever. Sometimes devotees become discouraged. You know, I guess so many. But Krishna. I said to a devotee the other day, I said, is your illusion stronger than the holy name? So you have to think about that. Actually, it's not. It's like I can't screw in. Suppose I screw in a 60-watt light bulb. Can I screw in a 100-watt dark bulb and the room becomes dim? Is that possible?
No.
Why?
Darkness is the absence of light.
Darkness is it has no reality in and of itself. It's the absence of light. So can we think illusion? You know, what is it? Anyway, I don't want to go too far afield because we got to move on. But one of the 4 nutshell verses, that darkness, that reflection appears to be light. So how can that be stronger than Krishna? So we have that confidence. Simultaneously, again, I heard Prabhupada say in Chicago, the sign of intelligence is the ability to balance opposing points within the mind. We find people, it's especially in religious traditions, people become fanatic and rigid. It's very common. My way or the highway. But we need Vaishnava, just like simultaneously one and different. That requires a stretch of the mind to balance opposing points within the mind. In the same way, we need to be able to balance. Yes, I have that quiet confidence that as long as I'm trying, and whatever my conditioning, wherever I am, whatever hurdle I'm trying to climb over, ultimately Krishna will help me. Famous example. How does a baby learn how to walk? Do they just get up at one point and say, hey, I'm going for a jog, Mom. I'll be back.
They crawl first.
Okay, they crawl, and then what happens? Said the mother. Yeah, they get up, they fall down, they get up, they fall down, they walk 3 steps, and they fall down, and they walk 5 steps. Prabhupada said, given that pattern, what is the one thing that guarantees that child will not learn how to walk? Give the others a chance. Be charitable. Assuming the child has innate capacity. Assume the child has no physiological or balance or mental issues. What is the one thing, given the pattern we just described, that guarantees the child will never learn how to walk?
He doesn't get up.
He doesn't get up. If you get up, you fall down, that's expected. But you get up. So as long as that pattern is going on, so simultaneously, the unlimited mercy, if I just keep getting up, Krishna will help me. But then Prabhupada said, I'll forgive you. Because Krishna says, of gamblers, I'm the cheat. Do we think we can cheat Krishna? That's what Maharaj was making that nice point, that there's intent. An accidental fall down is exactly what it says. It's an accidental fall down. You just get knocked out of your box, like a wrecking ball comes through the window. What happens? You're out on Sankirtan. I've had it happen, when I was young. Now I'm safe because I'm too old and ugly. But, hey, step on in the car, buddy. We've all had been, whoa, wait a minute. Shiva Ramash, we're far afield, but it's okay. Shiva Ramash told me he had it's a long story, but his father was the mayor of Montreal or Winnipeg or something like that, and he was engaged to a beautiful girl. He got into Krishna consciousness. She didn't want to come, so he said, "You come with me. I'm going to Krishna. You can come with me, or not. I'm going to Krishna." And they separated, right? So about a year later, he told me this personally. He's on Sankirtan, book distribution. He goes up to a group of young people, about his age, and he's distributing. It's a couple different, boys and girls here, young men and women. And this one girl keeps looking at him, and he said, she said, "You don't recognize me, do you?" He said, "To tell the truth, I don't have a clue." He said, "I'm your fiance." He said that did shake him. He said he had to sit down after. It did kind of, whoa, all those memories flood back and all. I had to take a little break there. But, okay, without intent. But if there's intent and if you make a plan, well, I'm going to keep falling down, I'm going to chant the holy name, and, that will counteract it. So Krishna says, "Of gamblers, I'm the cheat." You cannot cheat Krishna. You can't outfox Krishna. So, just to finish that story in New Vrindavan, the devotee said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, "I'll forgive you once, I'll forgive you twice, third time I take off my shoe," which means that, a smack in the head, Devotee said, raised his hand, "But I thought the spiritual master was unlimitedly merciful." And we can quote that, there's verses. And Prabhupada said, "Yes, but do not take advantage." So another takeaway from this is that the mercy of Krishna, that how he saved the Jamil in spite of his intention. But a Jamil, he had to go to hardware afterwards. And not like he just, said Narayan, Vishnu Dutas and off he went. No, he had to dig himself out a hole and work. So there's that. Let's see, because I'm thinking of the time factor. Just as a sidelight, this is sort of a risque section of the Bhagavatam. It's describing how to seduce and keep a prostitute happy. So, what's got to do with that? So it says, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, and please don't send me the emails. I'm not talking about book burning, please. We're not anti-knowledge, okay? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, there's the Library of Alexandria, which was considered one of the wonders of the world. In ancient Egypt, the Library of Alexandria was supposed to be the largest library in the world, had all the subjects, and it burned. Yeah, so Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, as with the burning of the Library of Alexandria, if all the books of the world were lost, and only the Bhagavatam remained, nothing would be lost. So everything's, Prabhupada said, everything's in the Bhagavatam, how to please relatives, how to work honestly, how to satisfy a prostitute. Everything is in the Bhagavatam. And it's all stitched together and gives you that lowest common denominator, the half, what is the essence of the thing. So all glories to the Bhagavatam. Again, this idea of, well, how do I get out of this mess? And I've got these, as we've said before, that's a big hint. How is an arrowhead shaped other than Dravida? Don't overthink it.
Rubbing it on stone.
That's how it's sharp. Okay, fine, if you use it as a verb. But what is it, as a noun, what is its shape? It's shaped like this. Well, okay, let's be more exact, like this. Why is it shaped like that? It goes out in very easily. But when you try to pull that baby out, it's got those two prongs. It rips out a big... So attachment is insidious like that. From contemplation, attachment develops. And you think, well, just a little impure reminiscence, or just, But it's imperceptive, and you don't realize it until you try to break it. Whoa! So we have to be very, very careful about impure reminiscence. But in the ultimate issue, it cannot just be a static point. And we're going to do a quick thought exercise. You guys ready? Hare Krishna to you. Here's a quick thought exercise. You showed up just in time. Do not think of the color red. Do not think of the color red. Jean, don't think of the color red. How's that working out for you guys?
Thinking of red.
Think it red, 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 red. All right. Now, don't think of the color blue. Do not think of the color blue. What are you thinking of? But are you thinking about red? Red's gone, man. You're thinking about blue. It has to be displaced. It has to be, supplemented is not the word. Supplanted. It has to be replaced. It has to be supplanted. And what the Bhagavatam is describing, and it's going to make that point here, when we have a taste, Maharaj has got calls he has to tend to. Welcome to the world of ISKCON management. I know the feeling. It has to be supplanted. It has to be replaced. The only thing that will help us in the ultimate issue be restrained from all the impure reminiscence and all the insidious desires that go in like an arrow and harpoon is the taste for the holy name, the taste for seva, the taste for prasadam, so many things. So, and I wanted to make one other point. I guess we'll end with this. I'm going to say two things. Prabhupada tells a story, because Prabhupada talks in the purport about just being satisfied. Prabhupada says a good wife, several things. Why don't you join us over here, Mataji? Otherwise you're a distraction. I know you're fine there, but everyone will be watching you, I guarantee. If it's physically possible, get her a chair and she can sit over here, it's better. Because they'll all be watching you, I guarantee. Prabhupada says a good wife is a fortress against material desires. And I know I'm a sannyasi, I'm speaking to brahmacharis, I understand all that. But again, we have to balance different things within the mind. Prabhupada points out that Junior Haridas, in begging for rice, went to the home of, what was the name of it? No, Madhavi, the sister of Raghava Pandit. Sikhi Mihidi, sorry, the sister of Sikhi Mihidi. And he went to beg some fine rice. But Prabhupada describes that there was a young girl there. It wasn't the old lady that ticked him off, set him up. There was a young woman there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so heavy, would not see him. We all know the story from CC. Prabhupada says, that's it. Dressed in saffron cloth, thinking of a woman. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came down on him like a ton of bricks. But Shivananda Sen, and it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Shivananda Sen, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named each of his children. When he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shivananda Sen's wife was pregnant, because they would come every year to Puri, he named that boy. So Prabhupada makes the point that an honest householder, a good wife, good husband, it's a fortress against material desires. Of course, Prabhupada said marriage is like a fort. This is Prabhupada's joke. Does anyone know why marriage is like a fort? You know?
I've heard it from you. I don't want to say.
Anybody know? Householders all know it. Yes, Dravida Prabhu.
Is this the one where if you're inside, you can't get out?
Half the people want to get in, and half the people want to get out. But it's a fact. Like Prabhupada says right here, you just think, I've got my good wife. and then she thinks, I've got my husband. I'm not going to run off with a pizza boy, delivering a pizza, which has happened. No, I got a husband. He's a nice guy. Forget it, man. And Prabhupada tells a story in that regard. Prabhupada said there was somehow or other, there was a man, well, not somehow or other, it's the inevitable nature of things, became attracted to a Prabhupada, instead of prostitute, not courtesan, there's a word, society woman. Prabhupada becomes, that's their art. They know the science of the thing. He became attracted to her. But he had no money. What to do? So he became very morose. Prabhupada said he was so shameless. He became morose. His wife said, what's the matter? And to his, where's the dignity? Where's the integrity? To his shame, he said to his wife, I want to go with this prostitute. And he was so morose that the wife, pious wife, this is Vedic times, don't send me all the emails. it's cultural time and place and all of that, and it's exemplary. It's not a standard practice. She served the prostitute, cooked for her, cleaned, sewed, did household things, and the household, naturally the prostitute became inclined toward, said, "You're helping me, I'm not paying, why are you doing this?" She told the story. So the prostitute said, "Your wife's a fool, your husband's a fool, but for you, send him." So the guy shows up. What do they say? My father was in the Navy. Flowers have powers, candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. So he showed up with the flowers, box of candy, whatever it was, to woo the prostitute, And she said, no, there's an art to these things. First, you have to have a nice meal. Again, everything's in the Bhagavatam. You first have to have, in the Vedic culture, you have to have a nice meal. So she served him a multi-course meal. And each course came in 3 bowls. Each course came in an iron bowl, in a copper bowl, and a golden bowl. Each course came in 3, same thing, salad 3 bowls, soup 3 bowls, whatever, 3 bowls, same prep, iron, copper, and gold. When they got to the last thing, finished off the dessert or whatever it was, she said, "All right, now it's time." He said, "Okay, but I just have one question. Why did you serve the same prep, different courses, each course in 3 bowls?" She said, "You're a fool, go home." Anyone know why? What is the purpose? Other than Dravida, anyone know the purport of this story?
Well, the same but different bowls.
Same but different bowls, so what does that mean? Oh, she asked him, did it taste, you want to say, Marsh? Did it taste, the question she asked, I forgot did it taste any differently? Did it taste any different in the different bowls? No. So the point is, whatever form, there's eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's all it is. We've done it as a squirrel, as an elephant, as Lord Indra. It's the same thing. There comes a point that you just say, enough, I'm done. The original been there, done that. Just be honest, get married, control your senses, and frankly, if you're going to avoid marriage, look down the road. Some learn by bitter experience. And anyway, I don't want to, that's too much time, because we want to go about Ukraine. So that's just act, Prabhupada said, be a gentleman, or be a gentlewoman. Get married, control your senses within that framework, and it'll all work out fine. Okay, so we want to read, one last thing. The material nature is designed in a particular way. We are fish trying to swim upstream. My son, either my son or my daughter, I forget who said it, we were driving somewhere. We were going down Garnett, and there's a restaurant there, but it's called the Broken Yoke, right? There it is. And so there's a red light there. We were stopped at the red light, and there was the restaurant, right? Our landlord, the apartment I was staying at the time, his name was Mr. Lowe. And he was, as they say, not the brightest bulb in the chandelier. We used to call him Mr. Slow, because he was a little, So there was Mr. Lowe at the door of this restaurant. And he was pushing, and he was pushing, and the door wouldn't open. And he was pushing, and we saw, because there's a red light where there's people inside, it's obviously open, and he's pushing, and he's pushing. Either my son or my daughter, I forget who, rolled down the window and said, "Pull, Mr. Lowe, pull!" Oh, and he pulled the door instead of, and he walked right in, She's pushing and pushing, it's not going to open. So the material nature, it's limited. It burns like fire and is never saturated. It's constantly mutable. Time and tide, the destroyer of all things. It's wound up, and that's the way it's going. And we're trying to jerry-rig and I'll end here. My favorite, the Welsh lush, the poet. What is his name? Dylan Thomas. Dylan Thomas. Was one of his later poems. Do not go gently into that long good night, but rage, rage, rage against the dimming of the light. What he's saying is, don't get old gradually. Rage, rage, rage against the dimming of the light. You can you can rage till hell freezes over. You're still going to get old and wrinkled and drop dead. He died of sclerosis of the liver from drinking too much. So, the machine is wound up. It works in a particular way. You can try to jerry-rig it. You can fight against it. And you can try to hold back the ocean. It's not happening. Is it King John, the Magna Carta? Went down and told the ocean, so to say, it's a folklore, but, went down by the ocean, told the ocean to stop. Washed over his shoes. He said to his, barons, look, I can't even control the ocean. So what are you talking about? Okay, so we should accept the way the machine has worked. We should accept that whatever our condition, Krishna will deliver us. And we should get in harmony with the design of Krishna. And then everything will work out just fine. Okay, now we'll talk about the Ukraine in the few minutes. What time is it? Ooh. Well, we'll be quick. So there was a little preface. He gave a little preface about the, in the communist times, everything was secret. I mean, the devotees were thrown, we all know the history, I hope you do. Devotees were thrown in jail. We have great heroes. Devanrita Maharaj, Naranjana Maharaj, there's so many, Indradumna Maharaj, Shivaram Maharaj, sneaking behind. Remind me some other time, because I don't want to keep you too much longer. There's all kinds of ways they smuggled books in there. There's all it was not uncommon. They'd be giving one devotee's assignment was to look for when the KGB were coming, and they always made sure they had a car with a driver by the back door. People climbing out windows to escape. Unbelievable stuff, When Devanrita Maharaj next visits, let's get him to talk about. He's got just some amazing stories. Very brave, very courageous. And the coordinator of it all was Kirtiraj Prabhu. Prabhupada asked him to do this. And after Prabhupada with Anantashanti and poured all Krishna consciousness into Anantashanti, and then it began to spread so many different things. And he was the coordinator. And then after a number of years, he was hardly ever home. His family was struggling. He wasn't working to make money. He wasn't, He was joking, but he said, I came home after a 6-month trip in Russia, and my little kids asked, who's this man in the house? And how come he's, what's he doing with mommy? What's this all? Who's this guy, Oh, he's your father. Oh, okay, So, he was exaggerating, but the principle was there. So finally, he handed everything off. He broke it up and said, look, I'll still help. I'll do what I can do from home, but I've got to tend to my family affairs. And so Naranjana Swami was given the Baltics, and he was given the Ukraine. So we're now focusing on the Ukraine. And, it built up, it built up, it built. That was in 1991. Let's see, because I want to save time. They got to the point of having 25 temples just before the war. There were 25 temples in the Ukraine. And have you seen pictures of the temple in Kiev? It's a 7-story building. It was a 7-story building that they turned into a beautiful temple. They had no money. Everything grew. Sometimes people bring money from outside, and that's fine.
They built it from scratch.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Wow. Yes. Because I know, Naranjana Swami said yesterday they needed to get cranes sometime, and they had, crane. And they had devotees who would just see a crane at a workplace, or see it going down the road, stop at the red light. They'd give them prasadam, the Mataji would cry, they would show pictures of what they're trying to do. They would get crane drivers to volunteer. What do they call that? Moonlight. To moonlight with the crane, steal it from the construction site, and drive it over and help the devotees put up the, it's just unbelievable. Everything was donated. It was all grassroots. So it's just, they got to the point of 25 temples and 20,000 devotees. 25 temples and 360 Namhat programs. That was what was going on in this place. And now, of course, you know the history, how they've been hit. They beg for the bricks, they beg for the wood, that I explained. So what happened, everything's been bombed. The opposition is, and they're suffering on plenty of sides. We have to be careful what we say, because there's devotees on both sides, and there's all kinds of political ramifications. But it's it's legitimate to say the devotees in the Ukraine are suffering like anything. All the infrastructure is being targeted and blown out. In some of the temples, they have to go. The water's been shut off. It's starting to snow. They build a fire, whatever, outside. They'll build a fire, melt the snow for water, make another fire, put a grill on it, and they're cooking outside with water from melted snow. That's how the devotees are living. And I was amazed. I asked Naranjana Swami, I said, last month, because you get the World Sankirtan newsletter, and it's broken down into sections. You've got, India, you've got North America, South America, and it's nice to see the Latin book distribution coming up, You see Africa, it's, all around what's happening in Australasia. So there's a section, they call it CIS, but it's the former Soviet Union nations, it's, Belarus and, Kazakhstan and all that stuff. In that group, last month, Ukraine was like number 3, right next to Moscow, next to St. Petersburg. I mean, those guys beat LA sometimes, So I said, Maharaj, how is it possible? He says, you can't keep a good man down. The devotees are going out. One of the most horrendous things that happened in that battle is when there was a train station that was blown up. One of the main train stations was hit by a missile. Women, children just blown to smithereens, There's a pair of devotees that were going there every day setting up a book table. They were there when that thing blew up. You know where they are now? Whatever they've jerry-rigged to get the trains, they're still there. They're there. They were there before, they were there during, they're after. Book distribution is going on. They've figured out, because how do you bring things in? How do you bring things out? Our Brahma Muhurta, it's an international effort to help the devotees. It's very moving when you think about it. Brahma Muhurta Prabhu is the director of the North European BBT. He's based in Sweden. He snuck in. And there's a devotee who's got a printing press. We had a printing business. Brahma brought in all stuff for fixing the press and they're printing in Ukrainian books now. They're printing their own books. He said, if you have money, you can still get things. I mean, everything's tough and there's shortages, but it's creaking on the economy somehow. They're printing Ukrainian books. And they say the people are just hungry. Whatever they can print, they go out and distribute, and people just snap them up. Achyuta Priya, who was one of the founding fathers of and the zonal supervisor for the Ukraine, and just an unbelievable person. All the devotees, because they had this famous that festival. It's the Polish and Ukrainian festival. They have so many thousands. I've been there at one time. They invited me, and I went. Whatever. It's a long story, but it's just an unbelievable experience. The devotees in Europe raise the money to put on a festival for the devotees. They did it in western Ukraine. It's a little safer. They're near the Polish border. They collected all the money. They put on a festival. Devotees have no money. Their car's been blown out from them. They don't have a job. They paid for devotees to get in taxis, to rent trucks from all over the Ukraine. The European devotees, temples, raised the money to put on the festival and bring the devotees. They had 14,000 Ukrainian devotees at this festival. It was a couple months ago. And also, the devotees were crying tears that the Euro devotees managed to put the money, get thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to put this thing on. So, and Achyuta Priya is trying to get devotees to escape. If they're in the war zones where, it's extremely dangerous, and the line shifting and all this stuff. But where are they going to escape to? So devotees in Europe have several farms. And there's devotees in Europe, different temples, like the manor. Okay, they're sponsoring this one farm. They've converted a root cellar into a temple. They've created, all these other, they built, so devotee couples can flee. The devotees in Italy, because you can't get out if you're a man. If you're a man and you're 18 to 40 or whatever, they stick you in the army. But women and children are getting out. So women and children, where are they going to go? Their husband's not there. They've got little babies. So Italy, different temples, Czechoslovakia, Germany, they're sponsoring families. We got the UK is with their biggest farm. They've converted into so many things because a lot of times where are they going to go? And they don't have their husband. They don't have there's no father. There's no husband. It's really it's tough. Even you got a shelter, a roof over your head. So the UK is sponsoring, I think it's one, and Czechoslovakia is sponsoring another one, but different farms, devotee farms in the West are being renovated as centers for these families. So it's just amazing what's going on. Sometimes devotees have nowhere to, before this started to get in place, they have nowhere to go. Achyuta Priya was saying that he was talking to a devotee on the phone. Look, you got it in Kharkiv or wherever that is near the, you got to get out. You got to leave. He said, I got nowhere to go. My grandmother's here. Look, we'll send a truck. We'll get your stuff. You got to get out. You got to get out. No, I don't want, I've always lived here. A missile went right through his big bay window, shattered the glass, went through the sidewall, and blew up the apartment next to him while he was on the phone.
He had left 2 days before that happened.
No, this is another one. This one was confirmed by Niranjana Swami. And he says, send the truck, I'll leave. I mean, you don't know what these devotees are going through. So to wrap it up, winter has started, and winter is going to be severe. So Niranjana Swami just mentioned that they're trying to get generators. He didn't make any appeal. He didn't say he's such a saintly person. So I was thinking, well, how much does a generator cost? And these are big generators. So I said, what would it cost to get a generator for the Kiev temple? Were you on the call? You said $10,000, right? So I was thinking about it. I said, let me look into it. I didn't want to commit for sure. But I'm 108% convinced that within the temples in this zone, every temple, I'll raise 2,000 myself somehow or other in the San Diego in my contacts. I think I can do that. I'm trying to raise for my ticket. I'm trying to do so many different things. But I think I can figure out somehow because it's such an attractive thing. And just imagine, I'm going to call Phoenix, Tucson. I'm going to call, Denver. What to speak of LA. I'm going to call Swavas. I'm sure that we can collect. And I think with the exchange rate, because you lose money and this and that, they could send it. I got to talk to Daini. They could we'll raise. I think we should target $11,000. And so we'll get the $11,000. You can send it all to San Diego, anybody out there in the ether world. You send it to San Diego. Dainiti will set it, and then we'll get it all in a bundle. I don't want it to go in little drips and drabs because who knows what will happen to it. We'll get $11,000 in the bank. Then we'll send it directly to Niranjana Maharaj. He's got it all set up. And Niranjana Swami, Niranjana Maharaj. Impeccable person. And I said, all I want, you send me a receipt for the generator, and you send me a picture of a devotee plugging it in, or putting gas in it. And so just think about that, Prabhusi. Tell your friends, think about it. Let's raise $11,000 and get a generator, big generator, so they can run their stoves and heat the devotees and keep the deities warm. They got a crane. They've moved the deities. They have a 2-level basement. The deities are in a basement. So if the building is blown off the map, which is possible, the temple, the deities are in a basement underneath. And they're big. They're like, 5 foot? I think they're as big as Radhamadava almost in my. So let's, as other temples and other zones around the world doing something, let us not stand idle and miss this opportunity to serve Vaishnavas in need. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you. We're over time, but I think it was worth it. And we'll put up a website, how to get the money. You just send it to the San Diego Temple, but make sure you send me and make sure you send Dayanidhi a notice, for the Ukraine or for a generator. Just make sure you let us know.